You know those sick clips that you've seen before, but you just can't seem to replicate? You're watching a pro player and they instantly land 2 perfect one-taps on a double swing. Bop, bop, just like that. Like, how do they even do that? Most players can't even comprehend they killed the first target in time. There's actually a secret. They're not actually reacting to what's happening. They're anticipating everything before it even happens. Another example of this is dodging flashes. When you see a pro dodge a Phoenix flash, sometimes they're reacting to it, but oftentimes they're actually just predicting it. They knew it was coming, they saw the Phoenix, they know he has a flash, so they're ready for it. The same applies for these bop bop kills that we just saw. When a pro is in a tough spot, they're not thinking, oh no, I hope they don't double swing me. They're thinking, when they double swing me, I need to hit these shots. Do you see the difference? They know these situations are usually unwinnable, but instead of panicking, they're mentally preparing for exactly what needs to happen for them to win. 1 bullet for the first kill, instant transfer to the next. Bop bop. Now look, this isn't something that you're going to master overnight. It takes thousands of hours to perfect. But next time you're in a clutch situation, try to think ahead. Don't just react to what's happening, anticipate what they're going to do. Sometimes you'll even see pros bait out these swings in clutch situations. They'll act like they're fighting one player to get the second player to swing. Does this work every time? No, of course not. There's a reason that you're likely to lose a 2v1. But when it does, chef's kiss. This is one of these 7 aiming techniques that pros use that you probably don't utilize in your matches today. And by the end of this video, you are going to be transformed into a completely new player. Let's talk about the second one now. You ever watch those pros hit insane flicks and wonder how they're so freaking consistent? It's like they're doing it every single game. Well, there's actually a secret technique called the bardoz method or the bard pill method that a lot of pros use when aim training. And the crazy thing is, it's way simpler than you'd think. Instead of trying to land one perfect flick, you're actually breaking it down into 2 separate movements. First, you do the initial flick towards the target, and then you make a small correction to dial in on their head. Now, this technique is mostly used on static aiming scenarios when the target is standing still. So how could this really apply to Valorant? Well, as you might notice, in Valorant, a lot of your kills actually come from when enemies are standing still. Think about it. When someone's shooting, they will have to stop moving. That's why trades in this game are so powerful, because your enemy is literally a sitting duck while they're trying to kill your teammate. This is exactly where the bardoz method shines. By taking that extra split second to confirm your shot, you're way more likely to actually land the trade and not whiff like a monkey. In Valorant, missing that first shot is brutal. Your accuracy goes down and suddenly you're spraying and praying like an iron player.
I do a 2 flick system. So when I flick to something, I do my first flick most likely won't just be on the target. Like if I'm doing like a flick, it just won't like automatically be there. So what happens is I like do a double flick. So like I'll like flick once and then I'll flick again.
Now, obviously there are going to be times where you need to flick and click instantly and you can't really take your time for that second adjustment. But a lot of the times, especially when you're trading or when the enemy isn't looking at you, you actually have plenty of time to use this technique. Just remember, first flick, small correction, then click. There actually is more to it than that though if you really want to remain consistent. Aiming is hard, and if you feel like you whiff a lot, you might need something more than this. That's why over at SkillCapped, we've recently published a brand new calm aim course that details how any of you can develop radiant level aim in just a few weeks. While most players just aim in whatever way feels comfortable, it might surprise you to hear that there's actually a proper aiming technique that pros use that not only makes themselves more consistent, but it also helps them get more kills like this. In our course, we're going to teach you this proper technique and even provide you with an aim training routine that you can use to instantly start improving your aim and climbing today. Unlike other routines, this is a simple less than 15-minute exercise that you can do before you play that will do wonders for your aim. Not only that, but our site is literally backed by a rank improvement guarantee, so if you don't climb, you don't pay. If you're really looking to climb this hack and want to start fragging in your matches, then be sure to check out our new calm aim course using the link below. And other than that, let's take a look at the next technique. Now, while we usually recommend a claw grip because it gives you more finger control, you can actually use any mouse grip that you want. But here's a secret trick that most players don't know. You actually want your thumb, ring finger, and pinky to sit slightly lower on the mouse, whereas if you lift the mouse off the pad, they should almost be hanging off the bottom. Why though? Because you actually want your fingers to slightly drag on the mouse pad when you play. And this might sound weird, but it gives you that crucial feedback that you need when you're moving your mouse around. Your fingertips actually have a ridiculous amount of nerve endings that can help your brain with navigating your mouse around the pad. Now, I've seen some players who try to keep their hand floating above the mouse pad for less friction, but friction actually isn't really always a bad thing. You actually do want a slight resistance in a lot of cases, as it can not only help you with navigating around the mouse pad, but it can also help you to slow down your flick and create more precise adjustments. And while we're talking about mouse grips, I'll also give you another little freebie. I've in the past heard about players resting their wrists on the edge of the desk, thinking it helps to keeping their crosshair placement at head level. You don't really want to do this. Not only could it lead to things like carpal tunnel due to the unnecessary friction placed on your wrist, but it also limits your ability to aim properly. How are you supposed to flick down quickly if your wrist is locked at the bottom of your desk? Instead, try to let your arm rest naturally on the desk if you have room and pivot off of your elbow. It might feel weird at first if you've never done this before, but your aim and your wrist will thank you later. Now let's talk about a trick that you can use when you're stuck in a dire situation. Maybe you're backed into a corner or you have nowhere to reposition to. When you're stuck in a 1v1 duel against a wall, most players just peek out and pray. Normally, peeking out of your location that an enemy knows that you're coming from is pretty unfavorable. Generally, if your opponent knows your position, you kind of want to reposition. But sometimes that's just not an option. These circumstances aren't entirely cooked though. There's actually a way that you can win back a little bit of an advantage. It's all about manipulating your opponent's crosshair and trying to make it harder to predict exactly what you're going to do. First, you start off with a quick jiggle peek around the corner. You want to throw in a few pre-fire shots to make them nervous. Now, the pre-fires are pretty essential because they do pose a threat to your opponent, and this is a very possible way that you could kill them with this alone. The nice thing here though is that if you're doing it right, it actually can be super hard for them to hit you. Here's the sweet part though. After you've got them focusing on those small peaks and trying to land a shot on tight angle, then you want to hit them with the wide swing. See, those initial jiggles pulled their crosshair closer to the corner so that when you suddenly wide swing, they're completely unprepared. This works especially well if you're able to get somebody out in the open. You're using those jiggles to gather information on their location and then making the decision to wide swing when you know you've got a good read on their position and have won back some of that advantage. Trust me, once you've mastered this, you'll start winning clutch rounds at an insanely high rate. Alright, now let's talk about something controversial. Everyone and their mother will tell you that crouching in Valorant is bad. It makes you an easy target. You can't move. Low elo players aim at the body anyway. And yeah, if you're just crouching randomly, you're basically asking to get one tapped. But here's what most people don't understand. Crouching can actually be incredibly powerful if you know when to use it. First off, crouching makes you more accurate. This is just easy enough. Your sprays get tighter, making it easier to secure kills. But here's the biggest opportunity when I see players won't utilize crouching when they really should. It's after you land a tag. Once the player is tagged, they are slowed down and they literally can't dodge your shots anymore. If you're in a 1v1, this is when you should crouch and commit to the spray. You've already got the health advantage because you've tagged them once. They're slowed down and your spray is about to be laser accurate. It's basically a free kill at this point. All you have to do is grab it. And with the Phantom being so strong right now, crouch spraying is better than it has ever been. Once you tag them, you know you have the advantage. That's when you don't stress about it and you just commit to the crouch spray. Don't waste your time trying to keep strafing, just finish the kill. It honestly makes aiming so easy and you don't even have to think. You don't have to aim, just point in their general direction, crouch, and spray, and you've already done the hard part. You've essentially won the fight, just grab the kill. Now this next technique is disgusting and stupid simple as well. It's the underutilized high-low setup, and it might just be one of the most powerful 2v1 tactics in the game. The best part is that it's pretty universal. Even players in gold know what a high-low is. If the enemy doesn't have any utility like a flash or a drone, they literally cannot break up this setup. It's basically impossible. You've got one player at a ground level, another player holding slightly elevated now, and then they can't shoot you both. And you're literally going to take contact at the exact same time. The enemy has to clear two completely different angles at once, which is something that you never want to do. Normally when you're in a 1v2, you want to try to isolate your fights, and sometimes even if your opponents are playing close, you can still find the slightest angle to land a kill and turn it into a 1v1. But with a proper high-low setup, that angle does not exist. A great example of a common high-low spot is on the back of B site on split. People oftentimes like to use this high-low during post-plant situations when the defenders will often need to clear out back site before they go for a defuse. Now, is this technically an aiming technique? Maybe not, but it's something that will make your gunfights basically unlosable. And the best part is, you don't need any fancy callouts or complex setups. You just say, come play high-low, and most teammates will know exactly what you're talking about. At the end of the day, positioning is just as important as aim, and this positioning technique is basically free rounds if you use it right. Alright though, let's talk about the final technique, something that might just save your life in gunfights. Here's the truth about Valorant that most players don't really think about. Your ping is always going to be a major factor. Just having a 40 ping difference between you and your opponents oftentimes means that you have to play the game completely differently. When someone's peeking you with lower ping than you, things get weird. You'll see them later than they see you. And if you're just standing still holding an angle, you're basically asking to get killed if you have high ping. This is where what we call the steady swing comes in. Instead of just holding an angle like a statue, you want to be peeking in and out. Think about it from the enemy's perspective. When they're clearing angles one by one, they might check your corner and see nothing. But the moment they go to the next angle, that's when you're peeking back out. These tiny micro timings are what separates the great players from the good ones. It's why higher ranked players seem to survive longer in gunfights. Sure, they still get one tapped sometimes, but you know why lower elo players get one tapped so often? It's because they're just sitting there holding angles and not moving. You might as well put a shoot me sign on their forehead. But the steady swing gives you a ton of advantages. When you're constantly peeking in and out, you can easily fall back after getting a kill. If you just tuck into the wall as soon as you land a kill onto the enemy, you'll easily just get traded. But if you're peeking around a corner in the open, you can use that corner to help give yourself some room to run. You're doing multiple things at once. You're keeping yourself mobile to avoid ping discrepancies strategies, you're finding micro timings at your opponent's peaks where you can catch them off guard, and you're also providing yourself with extra space so that you can not only get that one kill, but you can also avoid getting traded afterwards. This is a technique that you'll constantly see high elo players implementing in literally every single one of their matches that helps them rank up every single day. And if you're struggling with ranking up, then let me tell you that we can help you out today and get you back on track and climbing right away. As mentioned with our brand new Calm Aim course, we can teach you everything that you need to know about how aiming has developed over the last 10 years. We'll teach you the established proper aiming technique that pros use to maximize their accuracy and with far less. Aiming can feel so hard at times, but we'll help make it stupid simple and get you ranking up in no time or your money back. Don't forget, site subscribers also get direct access to our coaches in Discord so that you can get personalized feedback just for you. Nobody understands how to climb out a low elo more than us, so if you're looking to rank up, be sure to check out SkillCapped using the link below. And other than that, my name's Casey, and I'll catch you in the next one.